Salutations, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Intermission. But this is a special episode of Intermission because I was able to get an advanced screening, and this is unlike anyone. This is to potentially one of the biggest films of the year, and that film is Jurassic World Dominion. I was able to learn the title, and yeah, the experience was adequate at best. Me and the people I was with arrived kind of late. Not late, but later than what you should, the time you should arrive. So we had to sit in the second to front row in that RPX theater. So most of the screening, you just gotta look up like this, and your eyeballs are moving, and it's all distorted, and it's just kind of awful looking. And I think that probably hindered my experience, but I still wasn't able to see through the crap that we're going to talk about. And look, the experience was so epic, I even got this. Experience the epic conclusion of the Jurassic era. They're going to have to remove epic because it's just conclusion and more of, not even epic. It's actually, that's the main problem we're going to start off with this film, is that this film is not very epic in the way that it wants to be. It tries culminating the past Jurassic Park films with the new Jurassic World, and it's not very seamless. It doesn't work out well. And in preparation for this, I watched all of them, the regular Jurassic Parks and the Jurassic World films leading up to this. And I guess the way it's something to be a little nicer to be is that, to quote Mike from Red Letter Media, was I was surprised by how unterrible it was. It wasn't good, but in the grand scheme of things regarding this film was just eh. I said it on Letterboxd. This is probably one of the most films I've ever seen in my life. This film continues off the path of the last one. The last one was stupid, but it was at the very least watchable. And even though this film's a little bit better, it's honestly it's way more boring, and that is attributed to the awful pacing of the first half. Because the first half tries to give a lot of information and do it's three movies or kids TV show episodes just blended into one. Here's the episode where we have to stop this dealer. Here's this episode where we have to fly to Alaska. Here's this episode where we have to steal this and that. And it's very globe-trotty in the way Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker is, which is favorable since Colin Trevorrow wrote that film. But that was more of a story by credit. But now I can see his influence on that film with this, because this is a globe-trotting adventure, but it's very lame, and it plays it very safe. With the last film, at least they went crazy, They just went full-on crazy. They just embraced the absurdity and portrayed it more as a standard horror haunted house film. But this film is really weak with its presentation. There's not really any interesting visuals. There's no creativity found within the film. All the dinosaur stuff is stuff we've seen in the prior ones. The villains are just the same from the last movie. Evil, cartoon swirling, people only in it for the money and not thinking of the consequences they have with what they're doing. And then the dinosaurs will fight another dinosaur, and guess if you like that, that's going to be cool. But it's very uninteresting. The big dinosaur they hyped up for this film literally had no prevalence throughout the film, which makes sense, because the dinosaur is not this thought-provoking character as it is in something like the first Jurassic Park, where it's a very interesting film. And this film tries furthering that message of life will find a way, this and that. And this film tries to appeal to everyone by giving everyone and everything they need and want from this type of film, but it's never successful. It's very uninteresting, and the last half is more entertaining and more adequate, but really forgettable and very uninteresting, and to the point where I was just kind of waiting for it to end at various points. And once okay, they're just gonna do this now, you're just kind of almost waiting for it to be over. To be more positive, I would say music's okay. Michael Giacchino's score for these films are always pretty solid, but they're not very memorable. Not memorable or terribly well utilized in the way John Williams' score is in those first two films. Thankfully, in this film, there's a little bit more practical puppetry with the dinosaurs. There's obvious visuals of the dinosaurs just looking fake, and it just looks terrible of certain parts of their composition. It's just not very well put together and utilized in the film. They really stick out, especially when they have like animatronic dinosaurs that look kind of impressive. And I'm like, hey, that's actually nice. They're actually putting a little bit more effort into these dinosaurs than they had before. But it's not very frequent. So whenever they do pop up, it's more cool. But whenever they're not up, you're like, just really, this shot could have probably utilized it. Movies are about work, time, and collaboration, and they're just like, just give them to the artists. They'll figure it out later. The character interactions are like whatever. The actual reasoning for why like Alan Grant and Ali Sedler like come together, it just feels very like odd, and it's only there just so that you can have the characters together. And I'm not gonna really spoil it, but there's nothing really to spoil with this film, but I'll do my best. And the reasoning for them to be together just really questions like, really, this is the only guy for what you want to do. Same with Ian Malcolm's inclusion with Jeff Goldblum, who's probably the most enjoyable, fun actor to watch in the film. Whenever he was on screen, I wasn't very bored, and I was still very like, hey, okay, this is kind of fun. He's doing his thing, but it does feel very like simultaneously over the top and very underutilized in various different points that you're kind of like, is this the same character? But anyway, back to it. The reasoning for him and Allie are pretty good, but Alan Grant is literally like the most out of place character in this film, I think. He serves no function. There's no real arc. I mean, that's debatable, gathering by the events and what happens after the end, but there's still really nothing to like he is like the most useless character, and Sam Neill does his best at portraying the character, but is unfortunately not delivered with, is not given a good character to work with within this film. Owen Thunderguns is just Owen Thunderguns, Lady is just Lady, and there's nothing, no memorable characters, and the only ones that are just sort of like not slightly more the same and less of what they were from based off the original film. A quick little editor's note is about the clone daughter from the previous one, and basically how they expand upon her character and what they do with her felt very contradictory to the decision she made in the last one, and takes a twist so just safe and crazy that I'm kind of just left in awe. Like, really, this is what you chose to do with this character? Okay, you have nothing else to do, so whatever. This review is kind of out of place, but it's like I'm trying to like really gather like the thoughts and experience of this film, but this is truly like one of the most like nothing films I've seen in quite a while, and especially of like a big blockbuster of this size. And at the very least with the last one, which is still like the worst of these films, of all the Jurassic films, it was at the very least watchable, and it had me provoking many different emotions during it, whether it be of anger or like confusion. But here I was just more so kind of like that. And again, the screening, looking up like that probably hindered it, but I really doubt it. And it just really stuck out well. It was very mid, as what people would say. It was very underwhelming, very uncreative, uninteresting, and really struggling. This film struggles a lot with like its existence. Like, there's really like, you can tell they're just struggling. Like, well, based off that last film, what do we do? Do we just make it a full-on like humans versus dinosaurs, or we just do the thing again? Dinosaurs and humans need to coexist, and this and that, and the dinosaurs can be bred for being the military, for hunting our enemies. And it's like they didn't, but it was like no one decided like what to do. They just kind of were like, let's just do this. People won't be mad, people won't be happy, it will just be down the middle, and we'll be fine with it. There really was no vision, and unfortunately what could have been a fine and mildly entertaining film was just sort of nothing. It's like, whatever, if you want to see it, just see it. But like, as someone who did not really care to go see this film, and I was still left out very underwhelmed and very uninterested, and I do kind of hope that it's the end of this. Like, all these Jurassic Park films, like, there's literally nothing to do anymore with this, unless you just make it humans versus dinosaurs. But like, that's just kind of stupid. And I don't know, get like, if you're gonna do that, get like Sam Raimi or something. Get someone who can make it fun, because this was just the most like one of the most uninteresting films I've seen so far this year, and especially of a film of this scale. It's very hard like that. Like, this was the final product, and you know, people got employed, which is nice. Visuals are adequate sometimes. Some action's okay. Jeff Goldblum's entertaining. There's some occasional action that's like adequate. There's some, yeah, that's it. I mean, the rating I'm gonna give it seems a little bit high, but like, given everything else I've talked about, but like the little positives are a little bit adequate, or like fine enough to not make this a terrible film. To quote Mike again, I was surprised by how unterrible this movie was, but it still was not good. So yeah, Jurassic World Dominion by Colin Trevorrow is gonna get a very prehistoric, articulate, artificially made 4 out of 10 or 2 out of 5. I could foresee it being lower. I'm most likely going to see it again, mainly because if like the viewing experience was awful, but I could still follow the film. Who knows? Maybe I'll enjoy it more or less on a second viewing. I don't recommend going out to see this film. Go watch Bob's Burgers or something. Go watch like something fun, because I foresee many people being uninterested and bored, and a lot of the early reviews kind of say the same thing. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed it. I hope to get more of these advanced movie screenings, and yeah, stay tuned. More epic films coming soon, and more epic video reviews about those epic films are going to be coming soon as well. And I probably won't do this type of format anymore, but this was something special because of the advanced screening. So yeah, see you later. Peace.